Leave a steak on your kitchen counter for 3 days, and it stops being food. It becomes a bacterial experiment. Eat it, and you could end up with vomiting, fever, severe food poisoning, or worse. Salmonella, E. coli, botulism, the kind of pathogens your body is designed to avoid at all costs. Now imagine a vulture finding a carcass that has been sitting in the sun for a week. The body is bloated. The flesh is breaking down. Bacteria are everywhere. Flies have already claimed it. For a human, even touching that meat without protection would be a bad idea. For a vulture, it is lunch. It lands, tears into the carcass, eats until it is full, and flies away with no obvious consequences. That seems impossible. The bacteria in rotten meat do not become harmless just because a different animal eats them. Botulism toxin is still botulism toxin. Anthrax is still anthrax. So why can some animals consume things that would send a human straight to the emergency room? The answer is not simply that scavengers have stronger stomachs. Different animals solve the problem of rotten meat in completely different ways, and some of those solutions are far stranger than they sound. Let's start with vultures. Human stomach acid is already powerful. It usually sits around pH 2, acidic enough to help digest food and destroy many microbes. But a vulture's stomach can reach close to pH 1. That may not sound like a huge difference, but on the pH scale, it is enormous. Vulture acid is strong enough to break down bone, destroy many dangerous microbes, and neutralize contaminants that would be extremely hazardous to other animals. At that point, the stomach is doing more than digestion. It is acting like a sterilization chamber. Researchers studying vulture gut microbiomes found that their digestive systems contain bacteria that would be dangerous in humans, including groups associated with serious diseases such as botulism, tetanus, and gangrene. At first, that sounds like a problem. But vultures are not trying to keep every dangerous bacterium out of their bodies. Their stomach acid kills most of what enters. The microbes that survive are the ones adapted to that extreme environment, and the vulture's gut has evolved to coexist with them. Their defenses do not stop there. Vultures also produce highly acidic waste and antimicrobial substances that can help reduce bacteria on their beaks, skin, and feeding surfaces. A rotting carcass is not safe. The vulture has simply built a body capable of making it safer. Hyenas take a different route. Their stomach acid is powerful, especially for breaking down bone and tough tissue, but their real advantage may be their immune system. Spotted hyenas live in environments full of disease. They feed on carrion, hunt weakened animals, fight over carcasses, and regularly encounter pathogens that infect other predators in the same ecosystem. Yet wild hyenas appear remarkably resilient. Studies of hyena populations suggest they have unusually robust immune defenses, including genetic adaptations that help them recognize and respond quickly to infections. Their bodies seem to operate as if every meal could be a biological threat, because for them, it probably is. But that protection is not free. Maintaining a constantly active immune system requires energy. In harsh conditions, that energy can compete with other needs, including reproduction and growth. The hyena's resistance is not an accident. It is an expensive survival strategy paid for every day. Then there are Komodo dragons. For decades, people believed their mouths were filled with lethal bacteria. The story was simple. A Komodo dragon bites an animal, infects the wound with decaying flesh from its mouth, then follows the prey until the infection kills it. It was a dramatic explanation, and it appeared in documentaries, books, and classrooms for years. But later, research challenged that idea. Scientists found that the bacteria in Komodo dragon mouths were not uniquely deadly. They were largely similar to the ordinary bacteria found in other carnivores. And there was another major problem with the bacterial theory. Many animals bitten by Komodo dragons collapse far too quickly for infection to be the reason. The dragon does not need a filthy mouth to kill. It has venom. Komodo dragons have venom glands in their lower jaws. Their venom contains compounds that can lower blood pressure, interfere with blood clotting, and make a bite much more dangerous. Once prey is injured, the dragon's teeth, venom, and physical strength do the work. The old rotting mouth bacteria explanation was not just exaggerated. It distracted from the weapon the animal was actually using. Crocodiles may have the most unsettling solution of all. They spend much of their lives in muddy, stagnant water filled with bacteria. They fight other crocodiles, lose teeth, suffer deep wounds, and feed on decaying carcasses. For most animals, an open wound in that environment would be a serious infection risk. For crocodiles, it often is not. Researchers have found that crocodile blood contains powerful antimicrobial compounds. These molecules can attack bacteria by damaging their cell membranes, essentially tearing them apart before they can establish an infection. In laboratory settings, crocodile blood components have shown activity against bacteria that are difficult to treat with conventional antibiotics. A crocodile does not need a clean environment to stay healthy. Its bloodstream is already prepared for a dirty one. So we have 4 animals and 4 very different strategies. Vultures use extreme stomach acid to sterilize contaminated food. Hyenas rely on a heavily reinforced immune system. Crocodiles carry potent antimicrobial defenses in their blood. Komodo dragons do not depend on bacteria at all, they use venom. What connects them is not one shared biological trick. It is the pressure that shaped them. These animals evolved in a world where rotting meat was not an emergency. It was a regular food source. For them, the ability to tolerate pathogens could mean the difference between eating and starving. Over millions of years, every small advantage became valuable. Stronger acid, better immune defenses, more effective antimicrobial proteins. Each improvement helped an animal survive long enough to pass those traits on. Humans took a completely different path. We did not evolve to digest rotting meat safely. We evolved to avoid it. The smell of decay triggers disgust for a reason. It warns us about compounds associated with spoilage, infection, and disease. When we encounter rotten meat, our bodies do not see a meal that needs processing. They see danger. Humans found a workaround then, roughly 2 million years ago, that changed everything. Fire. Cooking kills many of the pathogens that scavengers have to defeat inside their bodies. Instead of evolving a vulture's stomach or a crocodile's blood, we used heat to make food safer before we ate it. In a way, a campfire became our external digestive defense system. A vulture turns its stomach into a sterilizer. A crocodile turns its blood into an antimicrobial weapon. A hyena keeps its immune system ready for war. Humans changed the meat. And maybe that is the strangest part. Most scavengers had to transform their biology to survive a dangerous food source. They became tougher, more resistant, and more specialized over millions of years. We found a method that required almost none of that. We did not need to become something different. We just learned how to cook.